Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my BookTube channel. If you're new here, this is a little bit different from my usual setup, but welcome. I'm happy to have you. I'm currently on the floor because it's cool and the fan is blowing on me from here because it is just really, really hot here in the Seattle metropolitan area. So I don't know why I decided that on this really hot day I was going to make this video, but I guess it was because I was clearing through some of my bookshelves and thinking about the books that have been on my TBR the longest. Where are they now? What am I even doing with them? And how many of them can I read? I feel like I want to finish these by the end of the year, or else I'm decluttering them because I have way too many books. I need to be very judicious about what is staying, what I'm keeping, what's going away. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the books. So the first couple books are recommendations from Jen Campbell's channel. The first is Pseudotooth by Verity Holloway. This is a very creepy sounding book about a young woman that is starting to get really intense visions that I guess look like seizures, but she starts recording the visions of this sort of character or historical figure it is that she's having in her mind. Very kind of William Blake. And then she starts finding a very creepy and weird series of historical events and mysteries and stuff, and trying to figure out if that holds the key to unlocking the secret of her visions. So yeah, this is going to be really interesting. This is how long this book has been on my TBR. Not only has it been on my TBR since pre-pandemic, but this is one of the last books that I bought before Book Depository shut down. I know that happened relatively recently, but I'm still sad about it. And the other one is Nettle Black by Nat Reeve. This is another sort of historical fiction book about a young man called Henry Nettle Black. He's going to be married off, or excuse me, she is going to be married off. And I also know that it is a queer story about a place where she can go to pretty much be herself. It's told through journal entries and letters. It's an epistolary novel. It's a queer trans novel. What's not to love about that? I honestly don't know why it's taken me so long to read this. The next book that we have, how long has this been on my TBR? Is Hunting by Stars by Sherry Dimeline. This is a sequel to The Marrow Thieves, which you have heard me read for the Indigenous Readathon before. I've also talked about it a lot on this channel. This is a sequel to that book. It's come out, I think, some years after The Marrow Thieves. And I believe that it takes place in the same universe, but I believe that French is the protagonist. So this is going to be a good one. And then I have a couple different poetry books that I bought during my first summer after we all got vaccinated, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bookstore with my mask on and get some poetry books. So, it's pretty self-explanatory. These are poems. We have The Moon is Always Female by Marge Piercy. I've read some of her stuff here and there, but never a full collection. The Honey Month by Amal El-Mutar, who is one of the co-authors of This Is How You Lose the Time War. That is one of my very favorite books ever. This is kind of like a poetry collection, kind of a short story. It's one of those things that kind of defies genre and form in the way that her writing tends to. And then the last one is Old Monarch by Courtney Marie Andrews. I don't know if this was one of those kind of Instagram poets, but I don't think so. I think it just wound up being very popular on Instagram at some point. And it's published by Andrews McMeel. So I know what I'm getting myself into when I read this. I think it's going to be a good time. And then the last three are also books that I have been trying and failing to read since pre-pandemic, and they are all by Anna Marie McLemore. This is no shade to them as an author. It's just that I have wanted to read the books in the order which they came out, and the first one that I'm about to talk about deals with some heavy subject matter like sexual assault and the fallout from sexual assault, and I just was not in a place where I could read that at the time, so I think I'm ready to give it a try though. So the first one is The Mirror Season by Anna Marie McLemore. I know that this is told from the perspective of a couple of different characters. Ciela, who is this girl who was assaulted at a party, and the boy Locke, who is, the person that she had this experience with. He doesn't have a memory of that night and no clue that a single piece of mirrored glass is tearing his life apart. And I am really, really interested. Oh, I'm sorry. He is not the boy who assaults her. So she's there with another boy who was assaulted at the same party, and they didn't like have any memory of each other, and they're trying to figure out what went down that night. So it's gonna be heavy. But then we also have Lake Lore by Anna Marie McLemore. Again, this is gonna be one of those cool magical stories about transness and people living under a lake and the line between reality and fantasy. This is the one that came out during the pandemic when it first started. And then Self-Made Boys, which I know is a Queer Great Gatsby retelling. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 books. I think given how many books I have already read this year, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get through these before the year is out. It's been interesting figuring out some new ways to try and prioritize what I'm reading, what I'm getting rid of, what I'm passing on to other people. So if I don't finish these by the end of the year, with the exception of the Anna Marie McLemore books, because I am going to hold on to those, I will donate these, declutter them, something like that, pass them on. So I'll probably make some updates as I finish them and kind of intersperse that with some of the other reading updates that I have for you. So if you want to follow along and see how that goes, subscribe to my channel here. That's the best way to get updates every time I post a new video. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.